Through 6 games, this Brazilian experiment, taking a whole team who haven't played together before to a whole other league, hasn't really worked out so well. Their own scientists haven't really been able to make it work, and now is the last chance for Los to make a breakthrough until the whole lab just explodes. This is their final opportunity to get somewhere into a playoff position, because if they don't, if they lose this game to Luminosity, then they are out of the running for playoffs. Gentlemen, we finally get to elimination games. It took us until day 8, but we are here. If Los lose, they're donezo.
Scary place to be, especially for a brand new roster. You know, this is their first stage. I'm sure they were wanting to come out, and maybe they didn't have the highest expectations. Maybe they didn't think, oh, we're going to make the major, but they certainly didn't come into it thinking they would be finishing dead last, the first team not to make it to playoffs. So it's a big one. We got to see them step up here today.
Yeah, they've shown some good promise, and I mean, Luminosity on the other side of things, in my opinion, have shown more promise. I feel like Luminosity is slowly finding their footing, and they have a good idea of what they want to go forward, finding their identity. Los is almost there. I really think the strategy is there. I think the players just need a little bit more time to get comfortable.
The problem is, with Los, despite having a lot of games that can get close, they'll win 5 rounds, but they still won't win the game. It's like they're just trying to find a way to not shoot themselves in the foot. Over and over again, there's always something that comes back up for this team, and again, the close games would indicate on some level that they're doing pretty good, but they could get knocked out of playoff contention and still have one more game to play tomorrow. They could get knocked out while still leaving a whole bunch more points on the board.
Yeah, which is an unfortunate spot to be in, but I do think, you know, the good teams, even when they're down and knocked out, they're coming into those games wanting to improve, wanting to treat it as a real match with real stakes. But I don't think you want to worry about that just yet, right? I mean, like, win this game first so that tomorrow does matter.
One step at a time.
Right, I was going to say, you don't want to play Beast Coast tomorrow and suddenly to have that game mean literally nothing. So for their sake, and for Beast Coast's sake, so they have a competitive opponent, Los really need to win here today. They played M80 yesterday, 5-7 loss on club. They fought back a lead in that game, and the score might sound really good against an M80 team that's usually good at everything, but it was both ridden with mistakes and had a lack of unique attacks for them to take advantage of.
Yeah, Los has been able to start off, I want to say in the maps, start off a little mild.
Sure.
It looks like they have a good understanding of what the other teams are doing. They know exactly where they need to go, where they need to make the picks play, especially from Sexy Cake. He's been doing very well from start to finish. And he's shown that he's been able to hang with the rest of North America. When it comes to the other players, obviously I think the rookies have been doing pretty well, but when it comes to the full team, I feel like as a team, it's just going to take them a little bit more time to, I guess, tighten everything up, because there are clear gaps in the way that they've been able to make plays, specifically, in my opinion, their maps. I feel like the maps so far that we've seen from them have been very lackluster compared to what their play style should show. I feel like they should be going to these big, extraneous maps that are promoting roaming, but they aren't.
Yeah, and I mean, it's difficult, right? Because I think the pieces on this team are good. You mentioned the rookies briefly, and one of them who's been really impactful has been Legacy. You saw it in the stats. He's the only person at above 100 EPS. And I like his individual play, right? I think he's a mechanically ridiculously good player, but he's had some rough moments. We have a couple of rounds here coming up where he's in a 2vx and he's just making little mistakes that's costing his team's rounds. First it's a 2v2 and he overswings before his teammate can go into construction. And then it's a nutty shot, but it's a TK onto his teammate, and then he clutched that round down. We didn't see the end of it. He brought that round back to a 1v1.
Yep.
And you got to imagine, man, if Legacy had had a teammate in that 1v1, then it's a 2v1. Maybe he wins it instead of losing it. So Legacy's stats overall have been really, really strong, but it's just been unfortunate that he hasn't maybe clutched up in those really low man count situations like we've been wanting to see from him.
I don't think it necessarily comes down to the stats part, because I feel like everybody on Los has been putting up decent stats, but I really like that you highlight that it brings it down to a 1v1 and then he loses it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the story of Los. I think the pressure
100%.
of being in a whole different region, all of these players never playing with each other before, everything stacked against them. I think when it comes down to these last minute details, they just aren't comfortable enough to be letting the pressure slip away and closing them out. And that's where the issues are occurring.
The thing is, with a team like Beast Coast, who are already proving not playing with one another beforehand is not a problem, for Los to come in and not gel with any of their teammates to a point where they can get more than one win definitely is a problem. For LG, their opponents, it's a different case, because they came in knowing that everybody on this team gelled in the server and on a personal level. They got a really big dub against Wildcard in Wildcard's third straight Oregon game yesterday, but still, a perfect defense half half, and then they just ran away with it from that point.
Yeah, listen, Luminosity have had a lot of ups and a lot of downs so far through the North American League. There have been games where they look really put together, like that last one in Oregon, where they seem to know exactly what they wanted to do, how they wanted to play their defenses. They clearly had it start to finish planned out, looking great. I do think there have been some times where things have gotten a little bit more scrappy. The auction game kind of comes to mind where, maybe they did make a comeback on their attacks, but for the most part, it did feel like there were a lot of mistakes coming through. Maybe mechanically, they weren't winning on a lot of their swings. So this is another team similar to Los where there are strong points, right? We've seen them really highlight themselves in certain areas, but there's still also a lot of mistakes that they've got to start fixing.
But the thing with LG, they noticed where some bright spots existed in that wildcard game, and then they found a way to really quickly dice the whole thing. They said, nope, whatever wildcard's doing that's working, screw it, we're going to do our own thing.
I believe it comes down to the preparation that Luminosity have been putting out in this game before. This is wildcard's fourth time where they're playing Oregon, and obviously Luminosity has done their preparation because they know that wildcard is going to go for a big window execute, and so they're constantly putting pressure downstairs. Hat and Wi-Fi both putting pressure downstairs to make the players below be stressed out, stall their timeout. And so when wildcard decides to finally go for the execute, the Azamis are on the doors. The Arunis are on the doors in the big window. And that's where they knew wildcard was able to succeed in their game against Los. And Luminosity was prepared for that execute. They just wanted to stall their time down. And that was clear preparation difference that got them that win against a team that was superior on Oregon the prior 3 times.
Plus, having a teammate go 17-5 in one map is obviously really good for your chances too. So we'll see if Wi-Fi can replicate that performance on Consulate?
Consulate.
Of all maps?
Weird map.
That one seems strange.
Did you notice the last 2 maps in the map ban phase, it was Los's decision. They had Skyscraper and they had Consulate. Through the 6 matches that they've played so far, they've banned Skyscraper twice. They don't like to ban Skyscraper. That felt like the obvious map to go to. They banned Consulate in 5 out of their 6 previous matchups.
Ooh.
So they've really liked to play that map. Coming into this week at the very least, they've liked to ban it. Now they bring it out last second against Consulate. If I'm Luminosity, I'm probably not expecting that curveball. They would have known it's an opportunity because they left it up. But I think Skyscraper was the more obvious pick there from Los, and they may have just turned this matchup on his head by going Consulate.
Maybe this is a case of Los hoping they've got something in their back pocket for a map that they purposefully have been banning every time, and knowing if they don't win this game, it's all over for them. What do we think about this?
I'm very excited to see it because I just said before that seeing Oregon and Clubhouse is getting stale from Los. I think a big factor on why they're losing is because teams have that footage on them, and we're not seeing anything new. So going to a bigger map like Consulate, even though it is a little bit of defender-sided.
But that was kind of what you wanted, right?
Yeah, that's what we wanted. It allows new variables, and that is very much an untested map. And I actually would predict that Los would win, but because Lax picked it and I want to win, I'm going to stick with LG. Because this guy's ridiculous. He's just picking, he looks at what we pick, and he's just picking the opposite. So I'm going to stick with LG for this pick.
All right, cool. So Lax gets the surprise factor, and he's just picking whatever he damn well pleases at this point. Jesse?
I like the map curveball. I do. I think Luminosity have looked better throughout this stage, but I'm gonna go Los. Maybe we all want to pick the upset. Yeah.
Wait, is this the first time Jesse's been below everybody else in the standings?
Nah, he's used to it.
All right. All right, that came out of nowhere. Well, at the start was Fox was in first and Lax was in last.
True.
And now Lax is in first, I'm in last.
Luminosity, take me home.
Dude, Fox is out here doing whatever he can to knock Laxing off his perch. Jesse says, nah, I'm going to try to actually get the right call and hoping that the surprise factor of Los taking Consulate is enough to propel him up the standings. Again, this bad boy, just waiting for whoever on the couch has the best rating. It's Sam Stewart and Carter Hannafelt to take us through a very interesting Consulate pick in Los's elimination game.
Actually, on your point, Jacob, I do want to talk about that for the second. I typically will try to predict the map ban phase. I don't need to. I'm just a nerd. I had a map decision between Oregon and Skyscraper, and I had Sky as the map being played, similar to what Jesse did. I had Consulate being banned first by Los. Now, it's a best of 1 to be fair, Sam, so the order doesn't necessarily matter in some cases. Not in a million years did I think this was going to be Consulate, and I think the fact that they have snuck this through the pool, I agree with Jesse. I absolutely think LG are probably going to be thrown for a loop on this one.
Yeah, I think them, us, the desk, people at home. I think everybody's going to be thrown for a loop when it comes to this. Yeah, exactly. Except Los. Los are the only ones that know what the hell is going on right now. And honestly, I'm excited for the ride, Carter. Consulate has been, even in the previous iteration, has been one of my favorite maps competitively. And the reason being is because for the defense, it's a map where you are almost beckoned to try and hold map control. You are forced to fight. And I really like that. And, I think it's going to really work in the favor of both of these teams, respectively. I think that Los is a really, really solid squad. I think that, NA overall, this stage has looked really, really solid. And that obviously means, especially since Los is the bottom team, they've looked pretty good. I think they've been trying to work some things, trying to get used to the NA play style. I think they've had some big highlight moments. The biggest highlight for me in Los has to be Farious, man. Farious has been impressive time and time again. He might not be, at the highest of highs for Los, but he definitely, when it comes to impact, makes matters most when it comes down to it. When it comes down to brass tacks, I can always count on Farious for Los to do something. And I think that when it comes to a map like Consulate, he's going to be very applicable here. I'm excited to see how Los try and go about this. Now, the biggest thing is for me here, Carter, you and I talked about this in the green room here, is Luminosity, the fact that they have a lot of dogs when it comes to this team. Specifically for me, Silent and Wi-Fi, and how a map like Console, like we were talking about, it beckons you to be aggressive. These players, they love to answer that call, and they do it better than most. How do you think Los is going to handle that?
That's what I'm also really curious about. I will say, seeing them take off the Damos initially, I'm going to work back around to the question you asked. Don't worry.
No worries.
Seeing them take off the Damos initially is giving me a few ideas. We've had one other Damos ban in the NAL. It was on the first play day between OXG and Beast Coast. OXG banned it on Border. On Consulate, one thing that I've talked about before, plenty of people have talked about before, is with the change, you can't sit outside on Rappel and hold cutoffs like you did before.
Yeah.
You're oftentimes, like you talked about, people are beckoned to get aggressive. Silent taking at least one definition of that with that spawn peak. A lot of the time, the attack is forced to get into the map to actually take entries, whether that's vaulting over Yellow Skylight, moving into admin, and trying to push through this checkers hallway. They're forced to get in the defense's face. Well, Damos is a powerful tool for that. You basically give somebody full intel on a player that you can try to power and coordinate with the rest of your team. Los taking him off the board makes me feel really confident, not necessarily in their clears, but with this right now. We see the Amaru and the Grim. I'm curious if Los are going to go for a lot more kind of pocket executes, getting in quick, trying to get the diffuser down, then backing off. And if that's their game plan, I think they could easily get a couple attacks on the board, with this map already being a surprise for LG anyway.
It feels the most comfortable.
So
It feels the
that's
most
how I
sound
think
for
they'll
sure.
take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely a really good option for Los, especially with Sexy Cake and this addition of the Buck for the offensive line. It feels like what Carter's saying is definitely going to ring true here. Trying to set themselves up on the west-hand side of the building. A little bit of verticality, but Sexy Cake doesn't want to make his presence known until it's absolutely valuable, and it will be here. They need to get rid of a little bit of this utility. They do definitely have the time in order to do that before they go for this execute. You can already see they've got Legacy built up on the yellow stairs too, just awaiting the call to see what Los are going to do.
I think LG are starting to get aware of it, though. Now it's more so just trying to meet the threat once it arises. With how much time has been spent, how many of these Vulcan packs have been popped. LG probably know that the diffuser is coming from the CEO side. Do they think that's where the Amaru is coming from? Farious, the player you highlighted, the player with the Gara hook, going for a bit more of a backstab, not necessarily trying to be the first into the action, but definitely to be the player to catch LG off guard. Gets the Gara hook, I think, or at least still has it equipped. Meanwhile, we see Hat thinking about a fight with that player on the yellow stairs. Legacy in there so early on. The flashbang start going out. Farious hits the go button, but Eddie, is he ready for it? He is, and he still loses the fight. Shotgun key for that close engagement. He just decides to hop back out. Traded out by Wi-Fi. Diffuser forced to be paused as Bursa with the recovery. The Grim with the rappel in has given Los another advantage. He'll hop right back out. Making good use of that old chain, but it's Bursa low on cover. No! He's late getting into the position. Now Silent can retake and has full control of the diffuser. Sex Cake down below. A little bit lackluster on this vertical control, but he fights back in spades. Cuts down kicks from the floor down below. Was Silent on such low HP. The only problem here is the attack still doesn't have the diffuser, at least fully in their control. Sexy Cake has to cover this from below. Rise forced off for a moment. Silent in such a good position here to make Rise doubt himself, make him second guess. He wraps around and lands the pre-fire. He's just got to run away. Dodge Sexy Cake as best he can. He's so close. He just traces around the Goyo. But it's still LG with the first defense. A nice execute. But some small mistakes in timing cost it for Los in the end.
That's incredible. Just the way they conflict here too. Los with practically a picturesque plant attempt, but they're not able to get it off. Luminosity, their last player, able to flirt with things, able to at least elongate things for long enough where Los weren't capable of trying to get that plant down. The angle downstairs just not strong enough. The verticality, I mean, it existed, Carter, but once we switch over to the defensive POV, I mean, it's like Moses. There's just a perfect path right to the defender planting, and he walks it all the way there, able to take him out, make it to where that is practically an impossible position, although the buck so very close. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all kind of just for a second thought that he was going to hit that shot through the floor, but just not capable. And Luminosity, whereas how, crazy that round got, they were able to prevail with cooler heads.
Lowe's have at least conditioned LG with that round a bit, even if it ends up coming down to a lost 1v1 for Sexy Cake and repeated denial of that diffuser by LG. They've at least made LG likely a little concerned going forward. The right as I say that, Kicks are going for a spawn peek onto the main balcony. Oh, will he find somebody? Oh, the timing! He looks the other way, spots him at the last second, but takes more damage than he deals. Unfortunate right there. The Sexy Cake just had to land the one shot to put Kicks right down below 50 HP with that glass. Still, though, like I said, Lowe's conditioning LG a bit with that aggression. I imagine we'll take things a little slower, but then again, we've only got the Thermite and the Ace.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that just yet.
I'll hold my tongue.
Yeah, but we'll say this, though. At least to go towards your stock. LG's going to force them to slow down. It looks like initially there, they really wanted to try and berate that breach as soon as they got it. Hicks, though, he's going to catch Bursa. This just seems like something. Yeah, exactly. This seems like something that should have been a non-factor. I think he was trying to work things for himself over on the mid floor, maybe off some info that he got, but there was a lot more bodies in the area than I think he gave it credit for, and he ends up getting punished for that. Smoke on smoke action there. That's going to force Los to try and slow down once again.
Silent.
Which does beg the question. How does Silent try and answer this?
I mean, he's got the timing. Like, he's so in the clear.
Oh.
Sexy Cake does find one. Wi-Fi with a nice, clean trade once those smoke canisters evaporate. Silent could still go for the backstab, but the rest of the attack has completely left the premises. They've all rotated over. I mean, Farious has at least found on the backside that it's relatively open. With those Selma charges used by Rise, or one of them used, they're able to find a way in, but this attack is completely thrown out of sorts right now. The Thermite on the front side with the diffuser. He does find one, at least is able to get a kill for his troubles as he pushes into the site. I think somehow rotating back, but it is just a complete blunder of a round from Los at this point. All over the place. Gaps left and right. Wow. I mean, that's a pretty easy round for LG to pick up. It seems Los didn't even know what they wanted to do.
I think they got completely stunted with that initial breach getting thwarted from the impact. They got slowed down. They couldn't get things opened up. They had to try and call an audible and start messing with things on the mid floor. And they got completely caught off guard with the amount of bodies that were stacked there by Luminosity. For Los, for all intents and purposes, right? They think everybody's downstairs, Carter. That impact comes out. They're like, oh, okay, they're kind of playing more of a built-up thing on the basement. They got some impacts here. They probably have some extra utility. We'll try and take the mid floor and maybe try and make an adjustment. Maybe there's one person around there. There's 3 people on the mid floor from Luminosity, and the only person trying to work it at that moment in time is Bursa, who gets taken out because of those circumstances. So it just makes it really, really hard for Los to try and find any headway in the way that they were trying to go for things. They can't get anything going on the mid floor. They can't get the breach open in the way that they want to. Instead, they have to try and work their way in through yellow and other means. And none of it is giving them anything positive because it also falls back to what I was saying earlier about Luminosity. This team, they are really, really solid when it comes to shooting, specifically Silent and Wi-Fi. These guys, if it comes down to a heads-up gunfight, it's not a 50-50. You know what I mean? It's one of those moments where it's like, I think it's slightly in their favor.
I think Wi-Fi in particular on this team has been a pretty solid anchor when he's played on maps like Oregon. He might get a little aggressive, but he's always holding down positions. He's always anchoring positions in a way. Sure,
map presence is huge for him. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And maybe it's a little off-site, but he's always holding down something, contesting an area. And he's done a really good job with that, especially that round, able to fend off pressure alongside Hat inside of the site. Really good stuff. Now we move up to the middle floor, and at this point, if Los aren't able to find around here, I don't think it's over by any means. In fact, we might have a tactical timeout called by Los. But I think the momentum, at least the potential that could have been gained by Los early on, will basically be gone. I think LG will have a pretty good shot at a positive defensive half. I mean, obviously, if this is 3-0, that's a given. But Los clearly wanted to try to get early momentum with those very quick pushes. It's not worked out. Now they're going for a bit more of a standard clear. And if they lose on that too, then you're the one fighting for the pace in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of these early, aggressive angles that we've seen Los try to take have connected inside of some of the recent things they've been doing their homework on. And it's just not something that Luminosity, aren't prepared for. It's something more than in the realm of reality, because Luminosity are so used to aggressive things like this. A lot of these players are born from the depths of ranked in Siege. They're used to an aggressive angle or two, and they're going to continue to take it to Los. Los try and go for an active play over on yellow, and Luminosity trade out positively once again. Versus got inside a bathroom. He's now dead as Kix guns him down with a single burst out of the super shorty. Yeah, it's a 2 versus 3 after Rise gets Eddie, but you still got Silent and Wi-Fi with Kix sprinkled in to try and take out. And yeah, Kix is going to go down, but he's just down for the count. It's a 2 versus 2.
All right, I made the 3-0 call just now, and then LG have trolled a little bit. Kixero caught with his back turn. I was going to say, not a great clear by Los. You see, I believe Farious initially hopping through the bathroom window, and Hat is just watching it, so he dies. And then as the Monty's focused on Hat, Wi-Fi's easily able to get the trade. But now, is it a bit late? Is it a bit haphazard? Yes. But Los have still got a 2v2. They've still got an equilibrium, and they've got intel on these, one at least, of these remaining site players. But Wi-Fi, we talked about how he can hold down presence, stake out a claim on the map. Yesterday, he found a huge gap in Wildcard's attack and completely won the round just by being in a bit of an off spot. Here, he might have found the similar thing. So much info is on silence, so much attention paid to the Fenrir in sight. Do they know about the mute? Yes, they do. They've got pings on his position, and that means Legacy's waiting. He's got to do double duty, though. He fails on the initial swing. Rise might be able to get the pick, but Wi-Fi just has to back up. He's saying, no thanks, my friend. I'll just pull back, win the round on time, and get a flawless site rotation for Luminosity.
A little shake of the head there from our boy Wi-Fi as he is no. I'm going to try and give even a look towards Piano. And what a moment there for Luminosity. It's going to be the timeout, as you called, Carter, from Los. I think this is a perfect moment for them. Nothing has went the way that they really thought it was going to. And Luminosity, even in crunch time, like we saw inside of that, round 3, they're still able to make water out of wine. It's great for them. Los have a lot of presence on that top floor. They still have the capabilities to drone things out, and they have great information on these players. They just can't win out the scenario.
And I think, if you're just looking at Los after round 1, it's like, all right, that's a pretty common execute we've seen. I think Los generally executed it well. Some small gaps, some small timings that Luminosity just happened to take advantage of. They end up losing the round. Still comes down to a 1v1. I think technically a 1v2 for Silent. Okay, that's fine. The next 2 rounds, though, don't look great. I mean, we're trying to open up the garage side in round 2. And they're completely stunned by an impact trick. It's almost like that exothermic blew up and they were like, oh shit, we didn't think about that one. Crap. And they just rotate and then the round kind of falls apart from there. And then round 3, they try to go for a yellow clear just to completely, roll up, run over the players on Luminosity. And a lot of them just hop in or walk into angles that are already held by LG. Round 1 was one thing. It was a decent execute overall that lacked the proper, it was like an 80 instead of 100. Now, rounds 2 and 3 did not look great from Los. And after this tactical timeout, if they aren't able to mount something more akin to round 1 after they burn their tactical timeout after 3 rounds, I'm going to start questioning this map selection for Los. I'm going to be 100% honest.
This is, here's the thing, though. We can definitely see that they had a game plan coming into this. It's just that I think that Luminosity are like... what's a good analogy here, Carter? They're like trying to herd cats. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I have a good idea, but I don't think that it's exactly going to go according to plan. And so far, that's exactly what we've seen. Luminosity have beaten Los's odds all 3 rounds. Everything that Los has set in front of them, Luminosity have been like, yeah, I can handle that. Not only that, I'll knock it out of the park. even down to a clutch scenario where Los are somewhat in the advantage with the position they have upstairs with that good intel. It's not really capable of taking those fights and winning them convincingly. And now Luminosity have 3 beautiful rounds they've stacked on top of each other. Los are forced to try and fight back. Timeout's already burnt. Yeah, a couple drones too for the round, but Los have some decent control for Sexy Cake in the mid floor.
And do have some decent control. I do want to keep in mind, by the way, if somebody's wondering why I'm setting that high bar, Los chose between Skyscraper and Consulate because they banned second, and 9 teams out of 10 will pick the defensive side on Consulate. Very easy possibility to anticipate. So, and if they aren't able to find a round right now, it's a situation that you should have prepared for. And right now, you talk about the mid-floor control for Sexy Cake. Almost all of Farious' utility cleared out or used to clear out a hollow setup. Nobody there. Not to say that it's not understandable that this would take Los time, because when you see those reinforcements, somebody might be playing far up inside of the break room to go for a C4 when you repel inside an admin. Perfectly logical to clear from Los. But all of that execute utility, we've seen how powerful it is. He's only got 1 remaining and 1 Dokkaebi called. That's a lot of utility expended that Luminosity completely baited out.
Absolutely, and I think the key thing here to highlight as well, just to back up your point, is that they still have a really solid drone economy. There's a minute left. We have 6 drones. We could have we could have just invested our stock, our money, our liquid, into a different part of the building. I think we just invested ourselves into the wrong stocks here, Carter, and things might go awry because of that. We'll have to see how the market works out.
And we will. Wi-Fi's still behind this shield too, and they're just trying to push up Visa. Sexy Cake does have 3 flashbangs, so Wi-Fi is not exactly going to get a freebie on this staircase. But with Hat around the corner as well, the flashbangs go out. Wi-Fi likely giving the call. We'll try to swing ahead of it just for the half second. It goes. All flashbangs now used. Where's the follow-up? Where's the play? Bursa hopping into the long bar. Sexy Cake will push on in. Wi-Fi's still not dead. Sexy Cake's found a bit of a gap, actually, but he's quickly traded out by Eddie on the site. Kicks the next to fall. I'm still amazed Wi-Fi's alive given his position, but Los, aside from that flood in from Sexy Cake, haven't found a whole lot. That's the guy with the diffuser who just got taken off the board, by the way. So Luminosity have the win condition for Los in the palm of their hand. They've got to get these remaining 3 players dead, cold on the floor, and there's no intel going their way. 4-0 for Luminosity. Another very... We'll say struggling and middling round from Los on the attacking side.
It's shoddy. It's very shoddy. It's not for lack of trying. I think they have a very good general plan, Carter, but it's the little things. It's the little things that are betraying them right now. Like what you said, they kind of a ghost setup over towards the admin side. They invest a lot of their utility into that setup. A lot of Bs, a lot of logic bombs. Not really a lot of bodies and not really a lot of drones, something that could have saved them and made it to where their utility pieces could have been used down the line to try and prevent people from trying to, take some more aggressive swings and stuff like that while they're trying to go for a plant. But instead, what we get is a round that is really off kilter for Los, and Luminosity are more than inside, in their right to be able to battle back. Especially once they're able to get that position inside of, Suicide. They get that kill on the Suicide single, and that's case. Everybody has to try and fight through the entire setup at that point, with crosses coming in from, front desk as well as CEO. It's so very problematic for the offensive perspective to try and get anything back in a scenario like that.
Los just don't really have control over these rounds and how they're going. I mean, I do like, the gap Sexy Cake found, flashbanging Wi-Fi on that shield, then kind of moving into the long haul to catch the anchors in sight off guard. I think that's a really smart play, but I also don't think he should have been in the position where he's forced to make that play to bet the round on. You called it shoddy. I think you're definitely right on that's how this game has been for Los so far. And after the tactical timeout, what does this team have to bring?
Yeah, what do we do? You know what I mean?
We've got the Amaru on a basement attack right now. I mean, that might be good to acquire some control on the top floor, but...
I'm happy you brought attention to that, because I hadn't even noticed that yet. I was more, looking as to what Luminosity's next move was going to be. But yeah, Bursa on a basement defense, this just goes to show that Los really aren't doing their due diligence. They aren't going through the necessary steps right now. And yeah, they're going to get this kill into silent. That's great, especially with the stun working in from Sexy Cake. Got to give him his flowers on that. But there's quite a bit of a road built up here. Yeah, this is a great moment. This is a great moment in round 5.
Oh, Kixro actually giving his position away a little bit. He's still right by those Visa stairs, so he can easily fall back. Sexy Cake now aware of his position. That is when the Legion will fall back. The reason the Amaru definitely confused me was, normally when you see the Amaru, you kind of have some cutoff drones on the top floor, then Ursa would immediately take that control. Think big tower on Oregon. That's a lot of what, when we see Amaru play, even on a basement attack, it's for that position. But Bursa's been on drone the whole round. A minute and a half, he has just been droning. All the control is acquired by other members of Los. Now, to be fair, they've already opened up the garage breach really quickly, so they've acquired a lot of good control. They've opened up a lot of key angles, and this front side take could very well happen, especially with a 5v4 favoring Los. But with that Amaru on the board, what operators are you lacking? Grim being number one in my mind. You don't have any of those Bs. No Capitals. The only smokes we have in Legacy's hands. You're just trying to lurk down on the site now, and a lot of utility to find players like Kixro. You're lacking, and he punishes you for it.
Honestly, the biggest thing here for me that we haven't seen out of Los just yet, Monty. We haven't seen a Monty here. Both shields are available, and Los have looked fantastic playing around their Monty plays. So just something that we could still see, but at that moment in time, it'd be round 6, too little, too late. And once again, like we said, Luminosity, great on guns, Carter. That's something that I will never take away from them. They are fantastic when it comes to looking for these kills, even up against a Brazilian squad like Los. The plan's going to go down now for Legacy. A beautiful nitro cell from Eddie from Yellow Pillar. And that's more than likely the round unless Farious can say something about it. He tries to go for the kill in behind the kitchen counter, but he can't get it. He swings back through Eddie at range with the M590. And that's going to be it. Luminosity, 5 rounds in a row, and they've soaked up Los's timeout too.
I'm going back to it. I was praying Bursa would show me why he brought that Amaru. I was on my knees saying, why did you bring the Gara hook? Why did you bring the Gara hook? Because again, I can see in theory why you'd bring it. If you want to go for the full clear, if you want to take vertical control to maybe put pressure on the 2 roamers that Luminosity did have, I see it. But he's on drone the whole round. He's not getting control. He's outside the building for a minute and a half. And again, it's not that Amaru is a troll pick. There are uses for her. We saw a good use for her in round 1 from Los. But if you're going in for a plant in garage, would it not be nice to maybe have that Monty applying pressure on players either from the yellow doorway or bottom spiral? Would it not be nice with the vertical control Los established to bring that Grim and put Bs all along the pillar or the rotates, so that way when somebody, I don't know, goes to C4 the default plant, maybe you get intel on it? That's what I'm talking about. And thankfully, we see Bursa flex onto the Amaru for about 0.5 seconds and then go to the Grim, so I do like that change. But it's just part of a broader theme where you let Consulate through. You knew you were going to the attacking side, or could at least readily bet on it. The calling from Los, the strategy, is very lacking after that first round.
It goes back to something that we heard earlier in the stage, something that Foxe said that I've also, shared for a very, very long time in my thinking of the way of how Siege works. When you look at maps, you look at their favorite side, right? Like, for instance, Consulate, we think about the defensive side a lot. You don't really consider that when you're looking at it from a team point of view. You're like, okay, defense at that moment in time, folks, it should be easy, right? It's the favored side. It's the side we should be winning rounds on. We can get things figured out on that side. What you should be trying to judge teams by is the opposite side of the coin, whatever it is. In this moment, it's going to be offense. So for Los, that's where things have kind of failed to launch for me. When you come to bringing this map into play, you're going to flush out your defenses, right? That's not what I'm trying to take away from. But what I am saying is that there should be some very solid consideration as to how all different things go on this offensive side. And so far, Los have only seemingly had really one pace, one game plan. And it's constantly been punishing them. Silent's going to get down now, though. And I will say, even though for what I was saying, Los have at least been a little bit more considerable about what they're doing inside of this round. They found a gap. They found a moment to plant here. Rise, he's already halfway through this. And Carter, I think this is going to... Oh, no! Sexy Cake! He's going to get 2, but that's going to be it. Takes an Eddie. What can we do here?
I will say Sexy Cake fried that guy bottom yellow, by the way, so great shot from him. Diffuser at least stopped for the moment, and Los might have done just enough work. They even smoked the diffuser to make sure that Luminosity can't get an angle on it. It should be the round for Los at this point. Yeah, Kixro gets 1, but that is it. Good gap found by Los. Solid attack solid rotation down to the middle floor to get that diffuser in. Really good round. It's the only one they got, though. It's a 1-5 half. It's still possible they could win this game. LG's attacks have not looked the best in the league so far. But this is such a hard deficit to work your way out of.
Yeah, absolutely. 5-1 is something that you really never want to be staring down the barrel of. But yeah, it's been hard fought for Los. Really, that round, you know, kind of hard to say, but it's just like, it's one of those things where they find a huge gap in Luminosity's defense. I mean, there's practically nobody home, Carter. There's no verticality. I think Luminosity really thought that Los were going to try and go for maybe a top floor clear or just try and address the top floor in general. And instead, they were trying to play very open and honest, trying to drone things out and, you know, make the call in the moment, which I think is a great idea, especially for how things had been going. I think that they really needed to try and understand what the heck was going on inside the building before they tried to make any big sweeping changes. And instead, what they found was a pretty empty site and something that was ripe for the taking, a nice diffuser plant.
And I will say, credit to Sexy Cake. Obviously, I believe a triple kill in that round. He's definitely, you might be a big fan of Farious. I know the desk highlighted Legacy, both for his upsides and downsides in his play this stage so far. Sexy Cake is still my #1 player on Los. Everything he does on the defense, on the attack, whether it's being a really impressive bandit tricker on maps like Clubhouse or just constantly contesting space against teams, whether it's LG right now or SSG, really a lot of basically everybody in the NAL. Sexy Cake has been a really good player, obviously very experienced as well, but I've really enjoyed watching him so far. At least now, we gotta hope that on the mute he's able to do something similar. LG 45 seconds in have already got control around the yellow stairs, and I'm seeing the Buck, I'm seeing the Amaru. I'm starting to think we might have a similar play that Los tried to do in round 1.
Let's beg the question. How are they going to go about this? They do have a few extra tools inside of the mid floor that we didn't exactly see out of Los when they went for things. I like that they've gotten a hat here early because he's going to be able to clear out a lot of this utility and make it to where LG can just sit on the side of the building, kind of hang out. They don't really have to do too much. He's got to wait out this timer, and they have plenty of time in order to do so. So that'll allow the rest of them to kind of clean up shop, make some new angles, make it to where once this execute does start going off, they'll have the ability to try and shut down a few of these rotations. Maybe get a kill as well. If they got that would probably be the biggest icing on the cake, but you can see Los is going for something similar.
Here we go.
How many nitro cells do we have? We just have Sexy Cake. We don't have a smoke on the defense. This is looking really easy for Eddie.
We got no plant denial. Yeah. We had the 1C4. Oh. Sexy Cake now dead.
He can't even get there.
This is why the addition of the gridlock is so nice, because if you remember the carousel of defenders from LG that threw themselves at the default CEO plant in round 1, that's why you bring the gridlock. To stop that very thing from happening. It's why they brought the Gnome out as well. Air jabs down below to stop the retake on the middle floor. Track stingers up above to stop the retake on the top floor. And with an execute that looked as easy as pie, LG have secured match point and at least 1 point out of today's game.
Yeah, that right there was probably the easiest round I've seen all day. And, you know, that had a pretty extensive burn time as well. You know, we get the 2 people on the mid floor, opening things up, trying to clear out utility, trying to make it to where the offense can actually move forward to get that plant down, setting up new angles. What's up?
The most annoying part is, like, I hate to interrupt you. The most annoying part, that was a better execution of the one, like, really good execute from Los. Like, they didn't end up winning the round, but LG had a better handle on the CEO plant than Los did, who picked the map.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you this, for the Los fans at home and some of the newer fans I'm sure that they've gotten since moving to the NAL, I'm really sorry because there's really nothing that I can say to Carter to try and defend Los at this moment in time, because it's absolutely true.
Well, and you know what's super frustrating too? We were talking in the green room that, like, even though this team is last place, they've had a lot of really good moments, a lot of really close games. I mean, the 8-6 loss to DZ, they're like SSG, where it's like a bunch of 7-5s and 7-4s. A lot of games that, honestly, they probably deserved a point in. And now, to have what, in my opinion, has been the absolute worst performance we've seen from Los this stage so far is really disappointing, because I think they had a lot of potential from the previous games to get maybe 1, 2, even 3 points here, and just falling completely flat on their face. This is not the team that I've been seeing in the first few games I've played, even the first few recent games.
Where has my Los gone?
What happened to the team I love?
What happened to the team I love? The team I support. The team I cherish. Our Brazilian brothers, Los. I don't know. They need to stop letting their little brothers play on the computer. I can tell you that, though. Something's got to give. And there it is! What did I tell you? It's all about Farious, baby. It's always been about Farious. Wi-Fi and Silent be damned. Even though I said they're fantastic, and they still are. But it's going to be 2 amazing kills out of the Vigil. Who, you know, to this day, I will still say, one of the most selfish operators you can choose on the defense.
Big dog Farious. The double admin hop out. All right. It's going to be a hard round for LG to bring back. There's one player alone on the middle floor right now. But
oh, my
Farious
God.
with another. He's cut down kicks row. He's hunting top fraggers for lunch. Now Hat, 1 and 6. 2 and 6. Nice little one. Brother is in sight. He has found his way bottom yellow. What is going on? One play around the corner, though. First able to pick up that one for free. Had, not knowing exactly what he got himself into. And Eddie might be able to find one, might be able to find 2. He's got to switch to the pistol. Farious going for it, but it's Sexy Cake to steal it away. Selfish Sexy Cake. Let him get the 4K. Los get their second round on the board, and we'll move on.
That was something. That was something else. Now, here's the thing. Although it has been a really bad game for Los, I will say this, at least in their honor. I found the one thing, folks, for the people at home. They have stayed true to what their game plan has been, right? We really haven't seen them deviate too heavily from the soul of their path, have we? We really haven't seen them try and go for something that was a huge pacing change, anything like that. Instead, at least in this defense, in this vacuum that we just saw in this round, they doubled down. We see them fly out of the admin windows, get 2 huge kills in a conversion, to boot. So really well done there from Los, but a really long road ahead of them as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're in the situation where it's like, I want to give you credit for that, and I will give you credit for that, but like, Farious got a great run out and a triple kill, and Los have technically 4 rounds to not make that mistake again. They have a gap. They can drop rounds like that in an admittedly silly way, and we can give credit to Los and say good read right there. Able to get the hop out. Farious really successful in that roam. Good work running all over that LG attack. But it's still around that. Can you really replicate? Can you replicate another 3K for Farious or anybody for that matter on the roam? I don't know. Maybe they can. Liquid won a game doing that inside of Brazil. They basically won 2 games in Brazil doing exactly that.
Yes, they did.
So it's absolutely possible. It's just that Luminosity being on match point, you better hope you keep getting performances like that out of Farious or Legacy or anybody or Sexy Cake. If the underlying strategic foundation is not there, which we still need to see an argument that it is.
Well, if you see somebody explode in this round from EDDs, we all know where it is.
And it's the boy Farious back at it.
He is indeed. The nuisance, one that could bring this back to bear for Los. And he'll be starting things off on the top floor, which does mean he'll probably be the first point of contact, the first point of conflict for Luminosity. Going to try and swing things in from the admin side. This is what I expected out of both of these squads, honestly. Irrespective of what the site was, just try and work somebody in from the admin portion while you try and clear out this top floor, or really what have you. And that's going to be kicks this time around with the gridlock.
Able to cut off key rotations. Pulse down below. We'll send out a C4. Just a pre-placed. Nobody there right now, but Legacy has read that it is an admin clear. He sees the gridlock, starting to walk over that way. Legacy is praying right now, but silent on that IQ. And find that heartbeat scanner, hunt down Legacy, and also find that pre-play C4 as well if he ends up turning his attention over there. He's not found it yet, by the way. It's actually been detonated, and now it is gone, so he doesn't need to find it. It's been found out for LG, thanks to Los, though it finds no impact, and neither does the second.
And this is a thing that's caught me so off guard for Luminosity so far. Is like initially, like on the surface, you're like, oh, it's just a bunch of guys that really shoot straight, and they have some coordination going on. A pretty solid squad. But you start to peel back, the surface. You start to open up this engine compartment and really look what they got going for themselves. And there's a lot of sound strategy. There's a lot of really solid utility work on this team, Carter. And this is just another moment where it's worked out for them. They've not only brought the IQ, but Silent also manning that scanner time and time again. And he's forced Legacy to go back to the site.
He's forced Legacy down below. And with that C4 gone, obviously, They might have an idea that Legacy's used his C4, but he knows that Pulse is going to be below to try to deny the plant. So once they go in for the execute, he'll go in for the push. But Legacy spots it, turns around, but ends up losing the fight. Farious able to go for the retake, but that's a key bit of plant denial they no longer have. And also a bit of a distraction. Farious forced a bit out of position. The rise through the wall. He's able to drop the diffuser on the floor. Wi-Fi's got to pick it back up. Knows the mirror is all the way on the opposite side of the building, basically. But with 10 seconds left, he doesn't have time to concern himself with it. Vertical control a little bit more tenuous than I think LG thought. Farious on a key retake somehow kills Had with the pistol. Great individual play by Farious. I didn't actually think we'd get another Farious 3K, but I'm here for it.
Never talk about my GOAT ever again, okay?
He's done it 2 rounds in a row. I'll give him that. I'll give him credit for it.
The heartbeat of Los is through Farious, baby. I'm telling you. I got the 1,000-yard stare out there. I was like, who could it be? Had to be Farious. No, he's been looking very, very stellar today. And the only reason that I am so high on my horse when it comes to Farious is, to me at least, it seemed like time and time again, when Los has needed somebody most, not only has he been there, but he's been so beneficial to them. He's time and time again found a way to be successful, but not only that, he's also found a way to be very valuable to them in these rounds where they really need somebody to pull things back across the line, whether it be in round count or man count. And that's why he's been such a big player to me. He's 9-7 right now, but you can still look across the board here and see some other players like Sexy Cake, like you named yourself, still, making a bid to be one of the top players here on Los. The biggest issue right now for them is that they still have to try and recreate themselves and give a few different looks on this defensive side. Luminosity still have a lot of opportunity to try and take this inside of regulation.
They do, but this is a great play from Los right here. They hide Sexy Cake inside of this, the small little cubby area inside a projector. They hide him there the entirety of the prep phase, bring him out. And do LG have any counters to deal with that clash? Not really. I mean, they got the fire bolts, but I bet you they want to bring that for the execute and not waste it on a clash. And aside from that, no Zofia, no nothing. And that's not entirely LG's fault, I will say. You don't often have a lot of tools to deal with a clash brought anyway. Callie, obviously not. Zofia's really fallen out of favor. And now once they see that shield staring their attack directly in the face, they're going to realize they'll probably have to burn some utility a lot earlier than they would have liked.
45 seconds off the board here. Luminosity dialing things back when it comes to the aggression, but loading up on utility. And this is what I've liked about Luminosity this entire stage. No matter how they apply themselves to the map, they try and back themselves up appropriately through what they bring to the table. This time around, like I said, they're going to try and bring the pacing down, bring that speed down for how they want to clear the map, but they're going to try and assist themselves with utility and solid gunplay. Farious, a little bit too big for his britches. Yeah, I've been singing his praises, but what are we doing here?
Yeah, just immediately running out. That's the clash also now spotted, by the way. Eddie making the call right as we pass the first minute mark. So not as brutal of a surprise as it might otherwise been, but still, the reality facing LG is still very similar. How are they able to deal with this? There aren't a lot of immediate ways brought by their lineup to make this work. Some B's already, gone out inside the projector position. Maybe they'll be able to flood around the clash as Hat is droned into the long desk and there's nobody actually playing there at the moment. Nobody close on the doorway either, though the Goyo just now getting into that position. Hat will see it at the exact right time, but still nobody there. He's actually backed off. Hat might flash himself, and he triggers the F-Not too, but I don't think Los are aware he's actually worked his way in. Burst is able to find Silent, so it's not a man advantage for LG, but Hat might have the play right here if he can win this fight with the Goyo.
I'll put your own here. And still plenty of time to try and assist with this. Kick's a great idea. He's going to EMP the Clash, forcing her back, making it where that shield won't be active for at least a couple more seconds, and he's going to reset that timer too. The plant going down for Wi-Fi. Sexy Cake, he's got to continue to call this. He's going to bring out the SMG, and he whips it onto Wi-Fi. It's all down to Hat. Legacy, he's going to be the sole man now. It's all up to Hat, and he can try and pull this across the line, and he does! I had no idea Luminosity had that case down. I thought that he got it before it even happened, but Luminosity, in the blink of an eye, they pull it across the line, and it's a 7-3 victory off the backs of Los.
Wait, what? Hold on. I'm actually so confused right. Oh my God.
What?
Do you remember when the desk highlighted how Legacy would cost Los in key moments?
Oh, what
He
happened?
C4'd Sexy Cake.
No, he didn't. That didn't happen.
I see Hat in that 1v1. I see him in the 1v1. And I'm like, what? This was a 2v1.
Oh,
Sexy Cake just killed the guy with the diffuser. How is it a 1v1? And I heard a C4 toss. In my brain, I'm like, no, that didn't happen. Like, Hat didn't die. What? He has C4'd Sexy Cake in the 2v1 and lost the 1v1 afterwards. They're trolling. Sam,
Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything to say? I'm calling it there. Like,
You know, Los, it was a great stage. We'll see you in stage 2. That's about it. That's all I got.
hey, we'll see you stage 2. See you in the open qualifier playoffs, and we'll see you guys after the break.
The first team to be eliminated from the North American League is the team that has absolutely no North Americans on it. Los decided to come to play with a brand new roster that had never played before in a region they had never played in before. And not only are they the first team to get knocked out, with one more game still left to play, they are now locked into 9th place, dead last at the bottom of the league, which means they're not going to the last chance qualifier. Oh no, they're going to the open qualifier playoffs. And Jesse is exactly the way that I feel about how that game went.
He C4'd his teammate.
Yeah.
The last guy in the 2v1 wasn't even near Sexy Cake.
Calculated.
He wasn't even there. Legacy, this is the second time he's team killed in a 2vx. We've seen him throw multiple 2vx situations. We see it here. The C4, the last guy is all the way over by like circle desk. He's not even close to to where the defuse kit went down. Even the guy downed is not near the defuse kit. He's outside. It's so frustrating to watch as somebody who's cheered for Los, who wants to see Los succeed. There's just so often these little mistakes are coming through, and it's costing them every single time.
It was calculated. Don't you know, pro players, we're absolved from sin. We can do whatever we want. I bet you he meant to do that, to do a little 1v1.
Yeah, 100%. But did Los also mean to pull off the plant literally every time they were going for a defuse at any point? Because it felt like they did that too. That was a problem you even highlighted like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Jesse.
Yeah, last week I talked about how Los are consistently getting off the plant, and I think like it's not even it's a bad call to get off the defuse kit when they are getting off of it, but it feels like they just have a 0% chance of winning a gunfight if the defuse kit is going down.
Yeah.
Like consistently the plant coverage has not been there. So the guy who's on the kit needs to get up and try to take a gunfight, but by the time he can get up, often he takes the fight and he's too late, and it's like so many plant-focused rounds. You'll see it in these highlights. There's so many plant-focused rounds where they just can't actually get the defuse kit planted on the ground. Even the one round where they win, in round number 6, when you'll see it here, they still get their plant denied before they successfully get their execute done.
Yeah, there's a lot from Los that they just didn't do right. They tried to go slow on their attacks. They tried to go fast on their attacks. I love how LG just felt like they were in the momentum the whole time, and especially when Los called that timeout. The timeout. LG actually just decided to switch their tempo. They ended up playing a lot slower, just bunkering up and forcing Los to go find those opening kills, which, based off what you said, Jesse, in my opinion, it looked a lot like the Shakes. A little bit of late game issues where they were stressing, especially pulling off of the defuse as many times as they did. C4ing your own teammates. It looked like a very big lack of confidence, especially as the round count went in the other team's favor more and more.
Yeah, and it's happened the whole stage.
How much of that was consulate, just out of curiosity? Yes, Los took it to Consulate, but LG had defense first, Consulate super defensive focused, and it was a 5-1 half. It felt like that game, before we even got to the second half, before that side swap happened, felt like at that point it was kind of already over.
It did feel like it was pretty much over, but Luminosity did have some amazing attacks.
Yeah, it's true. So let's just break down what they did well as opposed to what Los didn't do quite well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this attack, this is not the attacks. This is the stats.
Whoops.
I mean, the stats, Luminosity, once they got to the attack, obviously, they were playing very good in the crossfires that they were able to set up. They were going slow. They were dissecting exactly what Los needed to do, getting rid of the utility, getting rid of the positions that could stop Luminosity from planning and just shutting them down step by step. Right here, we see the Amar go in, and as you notice, Luminosity's cleared out the metal player, and the Buck from below got rid of all the utility, but also is putting pressure on Legacy and the rest of the players, so they can't close that distance and stop the defuse. And the person that's in the position with the C4 is not in the position with the C4 because I believe it's Kixrow was on connector window, and he just completely stopped the whole cross. So there was no moment where Los was able to get into the game because they were getting shut down and pushed away by Luminosity, and they just didn't do anything to respond to that.
Yeah, LG had a couple of really beautiful top floor attacks, and again, you just got to compare it to when Los were attacking that same bomb site. Very first round, I think 6 different guys swung the person who was planting, and yeah, some of them got shut down. I don't know how it was 6. Some of them got shut down. Some of them didn't though, and some of them were able to stop that plant, and in the end, they didn't end up in a position where they could get it to the ground. So I think it's a real tale of two halves here, with Luminosity really being able to nail down these problems that Los just couldn't seem to find an answer for.
Well, you want to know what that win just did. Like I said, the minimum threshold to qualify for playoffs in Stage 2 of last year with 9 teams was 12 points. Luminosity, with that dub, have just secured themselves the 12 points required for playoff contention. So let's talk to Wi-Fi in his rookie stage, who's now qualified for the NAL playoffs. My guy, tell me what you're feeling right now.
Feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm a rookie and I'm just fucking shitting on these guys. Oh, shit. We're just destroying these guys, so...
Dude, hey, classic soundbite immediately for the first interview already making playoffs. Good stuff, though. Hey, out of curiosity, did you guys just come off a 9-to-5 again to come play this game, or did you have a little bit of a break beforehand?
We had a little bit of break, so
hey, good stuff.
It wasn't as bad as our other games.
Wi-Fi, we saw a lot of preparation come out, especially your guys' attack. We just highlighted it where they jumped in CEO and you guys step by step cleared out. Did you guys, even though Los has no information on, have you guys had a chance to practice against them in this, or did you have an idea of how aggressive they would play? How did you set up for a team that you don't have information on the map for?
I think we just classified them as kind of just one kind of big region, like their type of teams, kind of just like aggressive and loose. And, we scrim a lot of those teams and we're pretty comfortable against them and we know how to counter them. And, I have to shout out our sports staff, which is Vivid, our coach, and Mossy, our analyst. Like they've been with me since T2, since Carnico, and now like they're just prepping us. Like it's insane. Like they're literally top 2 like sports staff and everyone else is check stealers.
Nice.
Okay.
That's one way to put it.
Listen, can you dive in a little bit more? You want to shout out your support staff. What specifically have they been doing behind the scenes to help you guys out, particularly with this map coming through onto Consulate? I mean, first of all, did you know with their preparation that this would be going to Consulate, and how much are they helping to maybe make those strats versus helping you fix the problems that they're noticing while you are in your off days?
For the map preferences, I think every single game day we've known the map we've gone to, and then the week before each game day, we've nailed down those maps that that we potential to go to. So, I mean, the preparation from them map-wise is insane, and they're there with us every day, anchoring down our strats and fixing them up, and just helping us grow as players.
Nice.
Great. Wi-Fi, my question is, for that first round, it was really hectic from a viewer at home perspective. You guys continuously threw bodies to stop that CEO plant. Was that the game plan the whole time? Or did you guys just realize we just have to make sure that this diffuser doesn't go down?
I mean, it got a little hectic. I think our smoke died a little bit early. So, I mean, the second resort is obviously just going to go kill that guy and run across. It got hectic, but as many buys as we can throw, we'll kill them.
Of course.
Same record as Beast Coast, locked into playoffs. It has to feel really good, but at this point, you've still got one more best of 1 left to play. Wi-Fi, congratulations. We will see you tomorrow, and hopefully you don't let your foot off the gas.
All right, thank you.
Big dubs. Dude, this is another case where I'm proud of how far this team has come. Very different playoff cycle from what we saw from stage 3 of last year or stage 2 of last year, because look at what the standings look like now. There are 2 playoff spots still left in the league at this point, and they're being fought for between Wildcard, DZ, Space Station, and Sonics of all teams. That's crazy.
It's a ridiculously competitive field, and the teams that you see at the bottom are not the teams that historically have been down there.
No.
For Space Station and Sonics in particular, I mean, both those teams in a really bad spot. Dark Zero as well, without playing today, are going to have a difficult run at it. So, yeah, I mean, it's anybody's game, open season for those last couple of slots, and I mean, that's kind of what we wanted from the NA League, right?
Absolutely, and congratulations to Luminosity, because at the first week, we just said that we wanted them to keep it in contention. Because every single last year, when we saw from them, it was close games after close games, but they weren't able to finish that, cross that finish line, and now they finally are. So it gives me a lot of confidence looking them going into playoffs, because they've not only shown that they can compete with just an aim battle, but now it feels like bringing on the support staff along with Wi-Fi, they are able to now compete mentally with the rest of the teams in the league.
I mean, I also really appreciate the guys in support staff never really get the love that they're supposed to get, especially guys on mid-table to low-table NA teams that sometimes make little to no impact on a stage-by-stage basis. So him giving shout-outs to the guys that he has on the back line, especially just knowing how hard you have to grind at a tier 2 level to really make it or have a shot to make it in the first place, that's class from Wi-Fi, I think. That's a really good thing to do.
It's really hard to get noticed as a support staff, as a coach, as an analyst, when you're not in the T1 scene. And like Wi-Fi said, there are a couple check stealers in the NAL where they will just hold that position and not give the chance to anybody new. So it's nice to give flowers to the people that deserve it.
Yeah, and sometimes you also have to go and make your own opportunities as well, which is exactly what the guys on LG have done as this stage has progressed. We have one more game lined up for us today, and just like Los, there's another team in the hot seat, and it's another team with an orange logo. It's just crazy to think that they're down here in the first place. Space Station could get eliminated from the league next.